So Oklahoma won an ugly game against Auburn on Saturday, but offensively for Oklahoma, I think there's a lot that you can take away from this. And going into a bye week, I think there's a lot of things that you're probably excited about that Oklahoma can kind of help maybe fine tune, sharpen the pencil a little bit. And by the time you go play Texas, maybe we see an offense that we haven't seen all season, or at least the hope. And remember, this isn't sunshine pumping. This is kind of telling you how it is, right? We're going to look at the grades and tell you what we saw from the offense against Auburn. A lot of this stuff you could build on, and this was not stuff you saw in the beginning of the season. So if you're an Oklahoma fan, you're excited about this. So jump in the comments below, join the discussion, let me know your guys' thoughts. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and you hit that subscribe button. So I guess the place that I really want to start today is obviously with the quarterback play, because Oklahoma made that change from Arnold to Hawkins, and this has been the thing that we've kind of beat in your guys' heads, right? We made a ton of videos on it, so we're not going to talk about some of the stuff we've talked about before, but we are going to talk about what we saw from Hawkins in this game, and something that I think Oklahoma fans should at least be, or at least you should feel a little bit better about when it comes to Hawkins. And I think the first thing that you have to feel a little bit better about is multiple times you saw the defense start to create that pressure on Hawkins, but he was able to use his feet in a way that he was able to get out of the pocket and extend the play a little bit longer, which is something we really hadn't seen from Jackson Arnold. But with Michael Hawkins, you're seeing a little bit faster of a decision-making from what Arnold was being able to put out there. It's not where you would want it, but I was texting some people earlier, and you guys got to let me know if you guys agree with this. I was watching this game, and I really got a lot of vibes back to 2021 Oklahoma versus Baylor. And if you all remember why that game was so important for Oklahoma, because that was the game that it was Caleb Williams' first true road game, I think it was. And that was the first time that we really saw Caleb Williams struggle as the starter for Oklahoma. And I felt like Michael Hawkins played better in this game than Caleb Williams played in that game. And I felt like his decision-making was faster than Caleb Williams at that time. And I'm not saying he's going to be better than Caleb Williams, but to see a true freshman quarterback go into one of these cathedrals of college football, like this is one of the biggest stadiums I think Oklahoma's played in since probably 2016 Ohio State, right? Or 2017 Ohio State. Like this is probably the biggest game since then. And so Michael Hawkins goes 10 completions out of 15 attempts, 66% completion percentage, 161 yards, no passing touchdowns. But overall, everything I think that you saw from Michael Hawkins, you're going to feel better about. Like you're going to feel better about what he's able to bring Oklahoma. But this is where I think we need to talk about the pass game a little bit, because you didn't have Deion Burks on Saturday. I think there is belief that Deion Burks will be back for Texas. You need him back, right? If he's going to be back for any game this season, you want him back for the Texas game. But what we saw from our wide receivers in the Auburn game, I think is something that gives us a little bit of hope that maybe the offense is starting to find themselves a little bit. Because you saw Michael Hawkins and J.J. Hester connect on that long pass, and I think it was like a 60-yard pass. So it gives J.J. Hester 3 receptions for 86 yards this season. The reason why we as content creators have been so high on J.J. Hester was because when he came from Missouri in 2021, that 2021 season, he had 12 receptions for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns. And although that is not the most exceptional production, if you had that same J.J. Hester this year, there's a chance you might have won the Tennessee game, because J.J. Hester at that point is a weapon for you on the outside and then opens up stuff for Deion Burks as well. Because remember, the thing that I've been trying to explain to everybody is Deion Burks has been the only wide receiver out there that has been reliable for Oklahoma. And so when he's the only reliable wide receiver, it makes it to where the defense, it makes it a little bit easier on them knowing who they have to go out there and cover. So J.J. Hester, we saw Michael Hawkins show off his arm a little bit, which was something I was impressed with. I didn't expect Michael Hawkins to have that good of an arm. I've heard people talk about it. I just hadn't never seen it because I never really watched Michael Hawkins film. But you see the DB kind of blow the coverage back there. Like that whole play, whether it was J.J. Hester or any of the other wide receivers, the DB play on was just bad on that play. So the DB completely blows the coverage. J.J. Hester gets in front of him. And I think that is something that gives you confidence to know that, okay, we need more of that. And we know Hawkins can take the deep threat because he did it with Brennan Thompson earlier in the game. He just overthrew him a little bit out of bounds. So you clean that up a little bit. You keep it in bounds, maybe in the middle of the field. You got deep threats like Brennan Thompson or Deion Burks. Now maybe you can add J.J. Hester in that mix, who, by the way, J.J. Hester is 6'4", 202 pounds. So the key thing is here, you don't have Jaden Gibson, who we thought J.J. Hester was going to end up replacing. You don't have Nick Anderson. You needed that size. You need that size on the field. So you get J.J. Hester out there. If this is something that we can start to expect to see from J.J. Hester, a guy that can go out there, catch passes, be more reliable in the offense. And J.J. Hester, per PFF, had a pretty good game this week. He had a 76.8 total offensive grade. That's his best of the season by a mile. So I'm excited for what we saw from the wide receivers this week from Oklahoma. And I definitely think it's something that we can build on going into the Texas game, because I don't think Auburn and Texas, the DBs, are too far off. When you're looking at Texas's DBs, you're really watching Jahade Brown at the cornerback position. He's probably their best cornerback, run maybe outside of Wardell Mack. And then also, when you look at some of the safeties, Andrew Makuba was probably the big one everybody watching. Andrew Makuba's been really good, but Michael Toffee and Derek Williams Jr. are also guys. So we know Texas's DBs have not been tested, but we need Oklahoma's wide receivers to actually be able to step up to test Texas's wide receivers. If they do that, you might find a little bit more success than you saw against Auburn. And I think you'll see a little bit more of the offense being able to move the ball a little bit more. But additionally, outside of the wide receivers, well, actually, before we move on from wide receivers, I really liked what we saw out of the play calling a little bit, which I thought the play calling was right? I think you had really good play calls and you had some really bad ones. Like there was a bunch of tight end screens that just, those need to go. That didn't work. What I did like was, if you guys saw at the beginning of the game, Brennan Thompson had a screen, and that worked really well. Some of those screens worked. I like the play where Bauer Sharp kind of rolled out on the right side. He beat his defender as well. And, Michael Hawkins delivered a dime right there. We need to see more plays like that, and we need to see more quick passes. I think Michael Hawkins is going to excel when he's able to get the ball out a little bit faster. But one thing that I think Oklahoma fans missed that I think we really need to pay attention to, Oklahoma had their best pass blocking game of the season. And I don't think that needs to get undersold here, because we have raved about how the offensive line needs to be better. And I think people are going to probably harp on the same guys on the offensive line that they've been harping on. Guys, only Jacob Sexton was the only offensive lineman who wasn't in the 70s per PFF. Jacob Sexton had 62.5, and he was really played out of position. He was played at left guard. I didn't agree with Bill Bedenbaugh's offensive line that he ran out there, putting Jake Taylor at a starting tackle position. I thought maybe you should have left Taylor on the bench as a backup tackle and put Sexton at left tackle and Troy Everett at left guard, but that's to each his own, right? Bill Bedenbaugh knows. This offensive line this week only allowed 1 sack and 3 hurries. This is one of the better games we've seen out of this offensive line. And you're starting to see it. You're starting to see the continuity come together. You're starting to see this offensive line build a little bit more chemistry, and it's paying off on the field in terms of pass blocking coverage. Now, obviously, you still have a lot of work to do in the run game, right? Run blocking needs to improve, but that will improve as the pass game opens up. If you start to give Michael Hawkins a little bit more time in the pocket to find those receivers, this offense could, by the end of the season, be a pretty dangerous offense. This isn't going to be something you see turned around in 1 week. This is going to be an overtime offensive. This is going to be an offense that improves over time. So, Fabichi Wewu, He had a 78.9 pass blocking grade. Branson Hickman was at 76.8. Jake Taylor was at 76. Tarquin was at 74.5. And I know a lot of people are not huge fans of Tarquin. Guys, Tarquin has been your best pass blocker all season. You can't get upset at Michael Tarquin and want him on the bench. Maybe you put Jacob Sexton on the bench. I know it's a hot take. If Taylor's going to play like that and Taylor's healthy, maybe you play Taylor over Sexton. Maybe that's what you do. But regardless, I look at it and I say almost every piece of the offense, maybe outside of the running game, you are impressed with, and I think you can continue to build upon as you go into Texas. Remember, Oklahoma has a bye week. There's opportunities for Hawkins and a lot of these guys to go sit into the film room, watch, and they'll be able to learn Seth Luttrell's actual playbook a little more. Remember, we're actually running Seth Luttrell's playbook, not a Seth Luttrell, Jeff Lebby kind of hodgepodge thing that we were doing for Arnold. So they'll get to learn this playbook a little more. You've got this whole week. You've got the week leading up to Texas. So it's almost like 2 weeks worth of practice. This is really good news for Oklahoma. It gives you time to get healthy, and it gets you time to get your best players, I guess, acclimated in this offense, which I know we're late in the season, so they should already be there. But this just gives them a little bit more time, and this should help you build a little bit more confidence. So I hope I explained it a little more clearly. If there's something that we need to dive into a little bit more, or if you guys want to have a video where we specifically dive into the coverage grades and things like that, I can pull those up. We can share it. We can talk through it. Jump in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you guys have not already and you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and you hit that subscribe button.